Black America to understand why we need to segregate?
Well, firstly, we don't need to segregate. We're already segregated.
Okay.
What we need is to
disassociate.
You ain't got to dissociate. White folks.
Stop talking.
White folks don't F with you unless you come into work. That's the only time they deal with you. White folks don't deal with black folks. They only see you when you come to work for them, or maybe passing on the street. We already segregated.
Okay.
Right. So we don't need to do no physical segregation.
Okay.
What we need is political economic independence. The Chinese ain't segregated from the white man, but they're independent. They have their own. Let me say this. We've had 4 great struggles in our history as African people in America and around the world. The first struggle was a struggle for your humanity. If you remember the first 200 years of slavery, we had to fight to prove we were people. Remember, we were dehumanized by the United States Constitution. Not people, chattel. So for the first 200 years, we had to fight to prove our humanity. And by the way, we're the only victims of slavery in human history who were actually dehumanized. No other slave in human history, including the Jews in Germany, even though that wasn't slavery, they were never stripped of their humanity. We're the only ones. So the first struggle was a struggle for humanity. After we got our humanity, we had to struggle for what? Liberty, freedom from the chains. After we got the liberty, then number 3, equality. And now we at number 4. And this is the worst one. We ain't fighting for humanity. We ain't fighting for liberty. We ain't fighting for equality. We fighting for survival. The white man has gotten to a point in his development of genocide technology. He thinks he can have a world without black folks. He thinks he can have a world without black folks. And it ain't just here. I go to South Africa next week. The trend in South Africa right now, if they don't do something about the influx of Chinese and whites and East Indians, black people will be a minority in South Africa. We're already a minority in Trinidad and Tobago. I was there. In Trinidad and Tobago, the East Indians are the predominant group, and black folks are increasingly becoming an even smaller minority. It ain't just about getting rid of us in America. It's about getting rid of us across the world. As Public Enemy said, there is a fear of a black planet. See, here's the thing we need to get. You're the only people in America who ain't white, who cannot be deported.
That's right.
You're the only people in America who ain't white, who cannot be deported. Chinese can be sent back to China. Mexicans can be sent back to Mexico. You cannot be sent back to Africa because they psychologically destroyed your connection to your ancestral home. So what do you do with 40 million people you don't like, don't want? You have to create a system of genocide. And why do they hate us so much? I'll tell you why. Because every man in this room, whether we unemployed, underemployed, ex-felon, whatever our case, you're the only man on earth who can reproduce himself in the women of any other race.
That's correct.
You are genetic. Every black woman in this room, she's the only woman on earth. Any seed that is planted in her will recreate herself. God gave us a genetic predominance over the world, and the rest of the world hates us for us. That's why nobody stood up for us during slavery. Nobody stood up for us during slavery, and nobody gonna stand up for you now, because the whole world wants a world without black people in it.
Why Marcus Garvey and Frederick Douglass?
Well,
go ahead.
So that's a bloodline thing. I also consider him to be the greatest black leader of the 19th century. Marcus Garvey, I consider him to be the greatest black leader of the 20th century. No black leader can you name did not borrow from, copy, steal, plagiarize, or learn directly from Marcus Messiah Garvey. His organization is the largest black organization in modern history and the only mass black organization that never took a penny from another race. Garveyism yesterday, Garveyism today, Garveyism tomorrow.
Where are the black leaders and why
Ain't got
aren't
none.
there?
After they killed Dr. King, when they killed Dr. King in 1968, the United States government said we can never let this happen again. The 60s almost destroyed America. It almost destroyed them. They had too many different factions of the black liberation struggle coming at them from every end. They were suffocated. You had Stokely Carmichael and SNCC. You had the Nation of Islam. You had the Garveyites. You had the Freedom Riders. You had the Sit-ins. You had the Panthers. You had King. You had Malcolm. You had Mega. It was too much. The white man almost broke down over that. And at the same time, you trying to fight a war in Vietnam. It almost killed him. So after they killed King, they said, we got to reinvent this. Because having white people oppress black people doesn't look good for international relations and image.
That's right.
We now going to recreate black leadership. We're going to fund it. We're going to train it. We're going to educate it. And we will use black bourgeoisie leaders as the go-between between us and the black masses. You ain't got no black leaders in America. You know what you got? Black power brokers. And do you know what they do? They broker deals between the Negro underclass and the white power structure. They don't change nothing. They just broker a deal.
Hey, Doc, would you classify Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, in as a part of those? Because I hear a lot of people with different
Absolutely.
opinions. Do you consider them, as I've heard?
And anyone who would argue against it, all you gotta do is ask them one question. Name one concrete gain black people have achieved under the leadership of Messy Jesse and perm-wearing Al Sharpton.
Nothing.
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 Do you consider them race pimps? I hear that.
Yes!
That's what they are.
I hear them.
That's what
I
they
hear
are.
that term.
Barack Obama made Al Sharpton a millionaire. Al Sharpton wasn't no millionaire before Obama got elected. When Obama made him the black mayor, you see how quickly that man's life and status then went up. Same thing with Jesse Jackson.
And then Jesse Jackson always get caught off. Yeah, they catch him saying off.
No, they exposed him.
Remember when they killed King? Remember when they killed King?
After they was done with
Jesse ran upstairs when they killed King and took
put his
blood and
blood
wiped King's blood
Yeah.
on his body and flew back to Chicago and was anointed as the new leader. We ain't got no black leaders.
Well, you know what?
Black leadership is now a corporation. It's incorporated. And if you can convince white folks that you can control Negroes, you can get very rich. Because the only black leader the white man is interested in is leaders who can control the Negroisie.
A queen bee.
Yeah. And the black church, why has the black church gotten so quiet in the past 30 years? Excuse me. In the
All
past
of them get
17.
paid.
Because George Bush, 2000, Machiavelli, former Bush, last Bush, he created the faith-based initiative.
They all get
Up
paid.
until 2000, black churches couldn't get no federal money
Right.
because separation of church and state.
Remember
That's
that?
right.
But George Bush created a loophole where you can now give churches federal grants.
They ain't gonna
Why
say
you
nothing.
think black churches don't speak out against homosexuality? Why you think the black church ain't doing nothing about police genocide? Why the black church ain't speaking up against miseducation or mass incarceration? Because they're being paid to shut up. FBI, faith-based initiative. Your preacher is the new informant.
That's correct.
Hello.
I agree with you there.
I'm a witness.
And you asked the question. This is what I done got that answer. With
Yes,
no more
sir.
cotton pick.
Exactly.
What is America?
We're not economically relevant.
But
We're not
if
economically
we get together and sit down and talk,
We're going to talk.
We'll
But
talk.
you got to change that American free Negro.
No, Doc.
You don't have to change the American Negro.
Hey, Doc.
Hold on.
You might learn something.
One doctor to
I'm
another.
gonna give you from another doctor to another doctor.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And see, one of the things that we have to stop doing is doing character assassination.
Yes, sir.
See,
Or you can even read on his mic.
we are still dealing with the after effects of slavery.
Yes, sir.
Willie
I agree.
Lynch.
I agree.
And we've just been going down different paths. I can be able to show you some stuff on this side of the house.
Yes, yes, sir. We're going to link. I promise
Because
you that.
one of the things I want to do with you kids, I don't know if you're familiar with cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm.
I control 20% of the gold coin cryptocurrency market right now.
Okay.